never imagined the people I loved the most would be the ones to break me. My life changed the night I discovered the truth hidden inside my own home. And before I go deeper into this, stay close to my voice. It gives me strength to speak the things I once feared to remember. I always believed family was unshakable. My childhood was stitched together by warm evenings, shared meals, and the laughter of people I thought would protect me forever. Out of all of them, my cousin Ria was closest. I grew up calling her my sister. We were born only months apart, raised under the same roof, loved by the same grandparents. I never imagined betrayal could come wearing such a familiar smile. When my father fell ill, everything in our family shifted. I was suddenly responsible for handling his affairs, his small company, his documents, everything he'd spent his life building. I was terrified, but determined. Ria offered to help, saying she wanted to lighten my load. I believed her. I trusted her. Maybe that was where my downfall began. It started with little things, barely noticeable cracks, meetings I wasn't told about, files that went missing for a day and reappeared in the wrong drawers, a signature that didn't look like mine but appeared on a deal I had supposedly approved. Stress made me blame myself. Maybe I was forgetting. Maybe I was overwhelmed. Maybe I just wasn't good enough. But the truth doesn't stay hidden forever. One evening, while my father slept upstairs, I found an email chain that wasn't meant for me. It detailed plans Ria had made with an outside investor, plans that involved taking over my father's company once he passed. Their messages referred to me as an obstacle, something sentimental that needed to be handled carefully. My hands went numb. My throat tightened until breathing felt impossible. The girl I once shared secrets with had been plotting behind my back for months. I remember walking into her room that night, quietly, almost stupidly calm. She looked up from her laptop, and the moment our eyes met, I saw it, the flicker of guilt quickly buried under cold defiance. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't cry. I simply asked her why. Her answer didn't come in words. It came in the way she smiled, like she'd been waiting for me to finally understand my place. That smile shattered something inside me. For weeks after that, I lived like a ghost in my own home. My father's condition worsened, and I could barely hold myself together. Ria continued her plans confidently, thinking I had broken completely. But grief has a way of creating fire where hope once lived. And inside that fire, a slow, steady resolve began to form. I wasn't going to let her win. And if you followed me to this point, if you feel the weight of what I endured, stay with me now. This is where everything begins to shift. I stayed silent for a long time, gathering information piece by piece. I learned who she was working with. I learned how deeply she had manipulated our relatives. I learned the full extent of her lies. Lies that painted me as irresponsible, emotional, unfit to lead. But to take her down, I needed undeniable proof. Something more than conversations, emails, suspicions. It came to me unexpectedly, an accounting ledger she'd forgotten to hide properly. It wasn't just suspicious, it was damning. Misallocated funds, backdoor payments, forged approvals, it was all there, enough to bury her plans entirely. But I still waited. I wanted the truth to surface where it mattered most, the family council meeting, the same gathering where she planned to announce her takeover, the same people she had convinced I was losing control. On the day of the meeting, my heart pounded so loudly, I could feel it in my teeth. Ria stood at the head of the table, confident, radiant in her cruelty. She started speaking about preserving the future, ensuring stability, words polished like fine glass. But glass breaks, and I was done being quiet. I interrupted her gently, almost softly, and placed the ledger on the center of the table. Then the emails, then the messages. The room fell silent. You could hear breaths catching, chairs shifting, the very air twisting with disbelief. Ria's face drained of color. I didn't have to raise my voice. The truth screamed for me. She tried to deny everything, stumbling over her own lies, but with every document laid out, her web unraveled. Relatives who once admired her stared at her with disgust. Some left the room, some questioned her directly, some cried. In that moment, she wasn't the brilliant, trusted girl anymore. She was the architect of her own downfall. By the time the meeting ended, she had lost everything she tried to steal. My revenge wasn't loud. It wasn't violent. It was justice delivered in the same quiet tone she once used to deceive me. My father passed peacefully weeks later, unaware of the war I fought in his name. The company remained with me, but even with the victory, a strange emptiness settled in my chest. Because no matter how justified, revenge leaves its own kind of scar. But scars don't weaken us. They remind us of the battles we survived. Now, when I look back, I don't feel hatred. I don't feel triumph. I feel clarity. Family doesn't end with blood, but betrayal doesn't begin with strangers. It begins with the people close enough to touch your heart. If you've stayed with me until the end, if you felt my pain, my fight, my rise, stay connected. Your presence turns stories like mine into something that can finally breathe.